great master used to say, his teaching, his method, the path of the masters, Sant Mat, is meant for the brave, not for the weak. You have to be a warrior. He used to use the word. You have to be a warrior to be in this path. Why did he say that? What is the need to be brave and warrior in order to meditate and find yourself? He explained that many of us cannot cope up with the pralabdha, the destiny we are born with. And we try to run away from it. We are cowards. If we cannot face what we designed as an experience of destiny, then that is not a spiritual path at all. That's escapism. The path of the Master says, you should be strong and be warriors and face your life where you have been placed in the middle. Cope up with all the ups and downs of destiny. And then in the middle of it, escape and go back to your home from this network into which you have come.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Isha Warriors. Today is the 11th of December, Friday, and we have received all an email from Isha saying that Ishwari is not feeling well. But then, yes, we have to stay strong. We have to pray for him, and we have to pray that we see him again on the 18th of December for the holiday event as promised, and I'm sure we all will. Coming on to today's schedule, today we have an anonymous singer. She's going to sing a beautiful Shabad, which means this cruel life does not part from me. Then we have a beautiful talk by our brother Michael, who is going to also give us strength to sail through this difficult time that we're all going through. Then we also have a beautiful talk by Dr. Chand, and he's also going to explain us how Dayal, the perfect living master, helps us detach from everything. Then we'll all proceed to the short dhyan session. Remember Ishwarji. Then we'll all watch his YouTube video together. Then we'll all meditate together with love. Thank you. Michael, please play her video now.
राधा स्वामी टू ऑल। वाणी संत दादू दयाल जी की। अज हो ना निकसे प्राण कठोर, अज हो नानक से प्राण कठोर। दर्शन बिना बहुत दिन बीते, दर्शन बिना बहुत दिन बीते। सुंदर प्रीतम मोर, सुंदर प्रीतम मोर। आज हो नानक से प्राण कठोर। चार पहर चारों जुग बीते, रैन गवाई भोर। अजहु नानक से प्राण कठोर। अवधि गई अजहु नहीं आए, अवधि गई अजहु नहीं आए। कतहु रहे चित चोर, कतहु रहे चित चोर। अजहु नानक से प्राण कठोर। कबहु नैन निरख नहीं देखे, मार्ग चितवत तोर। मार्ग चितवत तोर। अजहु नानक से प्राण कठोर। दादू ऐसे आतुर बिरहन, दादू ऐसे आतुर बिरहन। जैसे चंद चकोर, जैसे चंद चकोर। दादू ऐसे आतुर बिरहन, जैसे चंद चकोर। सुंदर प्रीतम मोर। अजहु नानक से प्राण कठोर। अजहु नानक से प्राण कठोर। राधा स्वामी जी।
Hi, I will read the translation of the Shabad now. I'm sorry if I forgot to read that before. So the translation is, this cruel life does not part from me, won't let me go. My glorious beloved, many days have passed without you, without your darshan. The 4 watches, if the night have passed like 4 seasons, thus was the night spent until dawn. This cruel life does not part from me. The promised time has passed and yet you have not come. You have stolen my heart. Where are you now? My eyes have not caught a glimpse of you for such a long time. Yet I keep gazing your way. The cruel life does not part from me. Says Dadu, the lovelorn devotee pines for you in separation, just as a moonbird yearns for the moon. My glorious beloved, this cruel life does not part from me, won't let me go. Thank you so much. Over to you, Brother Michael.
Good morning, everybody, my holy brothers and sisters. Those who have a valid visa to God, to the kingdom of God, to Sachkhand. Welcome, where we all sit here as a family to discuss spiritual matters that take us further on our path to God and the kingdom of God. And today we will be talking about our Holy Father, who is going, his body is going through some hard times, and he is not feeling well. Just to assure you that Bibi Raj contacted him or somebody in his house that is close to him and said that Master has just a light fever, maybe due to the weather. We pray, and it's all His will. Everything that happens to Master is under His full control, as Master and God are one with no difference. Master is not the body, Master is the Shabd, Master is the word, Master is the sound that is beyond the body. He only uses the body. One time in 1971, Sant Kirpal Singh was sick, and they were saying he is sick, he is not well. And then Master said, if you think I am ill, you should correct that thought at once. I am not ill. Only the body had to endure, and that endurance is nearly finished. So it is only the body that endures. Also in 1971, there is a story of Sant Kirpal. He got ill, and they asked him. They asked him, why are you ill, Master? And he said that this illness is a gift from you to me. This illness is a gift from you to me. From you, that means Master is above the law of karma. What you sow, so shall you reap does not apply to the Master. The Master is beyond that law because the Master is from God and the kingdom of God. So when Master replied that this disease is a gift from you to me, and you decide how my condition shall be. It was due to the reason that Master said that whenever a disciple after initiation does something wrong that does not cohere, that is not in coordinates with the teachings of Saint Matt, Master has to appear there and has to take that burden on his shoulders. Master has to take the burden of the disciple on his shoulders. So our father Ishwar Puri Ji now is suffering some illness, and that is due to us. Due to us, that means we have given him that gift. That some of us maybe have done something that is not in accordance with the teachings of the Master, some hard karma after initiation, and the Master has to bear that action. As it is always said in the Holy Bible and in all the Holy Scriptures, that led by the Spirit, they are no more under the law. That when we are led by the Spirit and when we rise above mind, body, and the law of karma, then we are led by the Spirit and we are no more under the law. Then we are under a different law, the law of love, mercy, forgiveness, and grace. And that is the law that we should adhere onto. That is the law that we should learn how to die so you can begin to live. That we have to learn how to live the life of soul. We have to stop living as mind, body, and intellect. And we have to start learning how to live the life of the soul. We have to learn how to see with the soul, hear with the soul, walk with the soul, and live the life of the soul. And the life of the soul is glorious because it is beyond the law of karma. And it is under a different law, that is the law of love, mercy, forgiveness, and grace. In 1971, when Sant Kirpal was sick, they all gathered around him. And they were telling him, Master, your sickness can be healed by two ways. One is only 70% accurate, or 60 to 70% that there is a chance to be you will be healed. But there is another way, it is the operation, that you can have an operation. And the Master then kept silent, and he raised his hand and he said, what do you guys vote for? What do you vote for? And then people put their hands up and they were saying that we opt for the surgery. We opt for the surgery because there is more chances for you to heal. Then one of the disciples told him, Master, why don't you give us your opinion? And because you are the one who gives the opinion. And then Master just closed his eyes and opened his eyes again and connected with his master, Baba Sawan Singh, and he said, I will be okay. I will be okay. And he went through that surgery, and then when he came out of the surgery, he was on the balcony of the hospital. And when he was on the balcony of the hospital, he was saying that I am okay now. And the doctor that gave him that did the surgery on him, well, his name was Mahajan. Mahajan. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And when Master was on the bed of the surgery, they gave him the anesthesia. And when they gave him the anesthesia, it did not affect him. He stayed awake. And then the doctor said, and then he asked the doctor, why don't you start the surgery? And the doctor said, I can't start the surgery. I have to wait for the anesthesia effect to work, but it's not working right now. It's not making you unconscious. And then Master smiled and he said, how can a conscious person become unconscious? Imagine, imagine those treasure words that came out of Master's mouth. How can a conscious person become unconscious? That really, Master is God. He is beyond the body. He's just playing this game. That when the Masters come to this world, when they come to this world, they have to act, they adopt a human body. They adopt a human body and they have to use this human body and go with the rules of this world. They have to go with the rules of the kingdom of the mind. And there are limitations. There are limitations set by the kingdom of the mind, by the lower creation, as our brother Vishesh always talks about the creation and how it was formed, and about Kal Niranjan, and how he took this creation after doing 70 yogas of standing on one foot, and then God gave him this creation. And then when the master comes here to release the souls, he has to act secretly. He cannot show himself. He cannot do miracles. He cannot show himself. And he has to go with the rules of this world. That means he has to go with the flow of this world and cannot stop the flow. That means if they, even though the master does not need surgery, as Sant Kirpal said it, that the worldly medicine is not for the saints and masters. It is for the worldly people. Doctors, surgeries, and everything is not for the masters. It is for worldly people. However, master goes with it as to go on along with the rules of the negative power, with the rules of the lower creation of Lord God. He has to go with the flow. My master Santakar Singh got very, very sick at some time, and he told us that he does not need surgery. Before that was in 2004, that he does not need surgery, but some karmas came up. Some karmas came up, and he has to pay for them. That's why he opted for the surgery. Otherwise, he didn't need surgery. So, master only, if master is unwell, if master goes through surgery, if master goes through any illness, it is only ours. It is our karma. He's paying off our karma, as he has no karma. Master has no karma whatsoever, and he is beyond the law of karma. And if he suffers, it is only for us. So Ishwar Puri Ji is probably taking the karma of several of his disciples. That is why we have to be very conscious. We have to be very conscious. And we have to watch our actions. We have to watch our deeds, especially after initiation, that we have to really have sympathy on the master, have sympathy on the body of the master, and we have to keep our actions in accordance with the teachings of Saint Mat, that every thought, every word, and every deed we have to account for, and not to create any bad karma that the master then have to face. As as the master have to face this karma. I was telling you about Sant Kirpal when they gave him the anesthesia and the anesthesia did not affect him. And then he just closed his eyes and went through the surgery. And then directly after the doctor finished the surgery, master opened his eyes. And the doctor was amazed. How could this doctor, Mohajan, he was very amazed and told the master that I have never seen something like that. That usually people after the surgery, it takes them time to wake up from the anesthesia. And I have seen your glory on the surgery table. Now I will become your devotee and I will regularly come to visit you. That this is the glory of the master, the glory of the master who is Sat Purush, the Word made flesh and dwells among us. The Word made flesh and dwells among us. So, what else did I want to say? That yes, we have. In the next coming few days, I was thinking and suggesting to my fellow initiates that we should do extra meditation and give it as a gift for Master to help him out, paying off that karma of our karma. That if we increase our meditation, especially after satsang, if we stay all together as a holy family and devote our meditation selflessly to Master, give him that meditation, and that power, that meditation is very, very powerful, and it will make Master smile, it will make him be happy, and it will make that period even shorter and shorter, because he sees that his children care about him, his children want him to be with them, and especially we want to see him in the Christmas in the 18th and 19th and 20th, and we're hoping that he gets better. He just needs some rest. He just needs some rest, and he will be okay. And we are hoping that we will see him on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. And I hope all of us will increase our meditation. If we used to meditate for 1 hour, increase it to 2. Or if we used to meditate for 3 hours and make it 4 or 5, just and give it to Master. Give it to Master. This way, not only it will be good for us, that it will pay our karmas, but also the karmas of the world. As in 1963, they asked Sant Kirpal Singh, will there be a third world war? And Master said, said that he doesn't like to see his children suffering. And then there was one person in the audience, and he said, Master, there is a very advanced disciple here, and he was saying that he always sees you. He always sees you in meditation, going wherever there is darkness in the world, not to just help your initiates, but to help all humanity. And Master said, this is correct. This is correct. That Master goes, that disciple used to see him wherever there is a smoke and darkness in the world. Master is there to clean out that darkness and to relieve the world from that hard karma. So probably Master is not only suffering this illness for just his disciples, he's also clearing the karma of this world, that this world is going through a heavy karma of this COVID and all this suffering in the world, that he is clearing it. And he is clearing it for who? For us, so we can have better meditation, so our life will be more smooth, and we can devote more time to Bhajan and Simran. Bhajan and Simran, meditation and selfless work should be our life and should be the number one thing. And we should slowly, we should wean ourselves out from the pleasures of the senses, from anything that adds darkness to us and puts a curtain between us and our holy beloved. So soon, not only will be seeing him all the time outside, like not only we will see him outside in the world, but he will appear inside of us, and that is the most important thing for the disciple, to manifest the luminous form of the Master. That is the most important thing, is that we start to see our holy masters and Ishwar Puri Ji inside of us, and it will be much more clear, much more visible, and much more powerful than even seeing him outside. That this is the power of seeing the Master from within. that this is the highest blessing, as He is not the body, He is inside each one of us. And we are to purify ourselves, to unburden ourselves, to increase our karma, increase our simran, increase our seva, increase everything that takes us one step towards Father God, so we can manifest Him inside of us and start to see Him 24/7 inside of us, and not while He's only in the physical body, but for eternity. As Master says, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee till the end of the world. That once He takes seat next to our soul, He has this promise, this troth on our soul, that He will never leave us nor forsake us till the end of the world. That Master, even when He has an eye contact with any stranger, not just His disciples, but any stranger, then that relationship starts. And it is 100% from the side of the Master, but maybe 0% from the side of that stranger. But then that will start to slowly grow. That relationship will grow from the side of the person who has been looked upon by the Master. It will start to grow, and it will lead unto initiation, and that is the way back to God. That is when the real journey starts back towards God and the kingdom of God. So I just wanted to say this as an introduction, that don't worry, that Master, everything is under His control. Everything is under the control of the Master power. Really, all this medicines and the surgeries and injections and everything. Really, the Master doesn't need them, but he goes to them. And there's another story of Saint Kirpal. There was another doctor. What's his name? Sar Bahjan, something Bahjan, Bahjan Singh, and he was there, and he was giving him injections to cure him of some disease. And the story is that he came to give him an injection, and then the Master said, lovingly said among his holy family and disciples, like, look at this foolish doctor. He believes only in the doctor's medicine, but not in other medicines. That means he has not opened himself to believe that Master is the medicine. Master is the medicine, as the Naam, the holy Shabd, is the panacea. And the story, sorry, and the story goes on to say that that Master asked him to stay. Master asked him to stay that time, that time, and this doctor Sarbahjan said, "No, I have to go because they need me at the hospital the next day." And he said, "Okay, then you can go." But then when they left to Amritsar, and then over there, the wife of the doctor, her name Kaur Singh, she was sitting in meditation, and then Baba Jamal Singh and Baba Sawan Singh appeared to her inside and said, "Please go. Kirpal Singh needs more attention, and he needs you and your husband to go back." So then they went running back, and then Sant Kirpal looked at them and looked at her, and he said, "Who told you to come here?" And she said, "Who appeared to you inside and told you to come here?" And she said, "It was Baba Jamal Singh and Baba Sawan Singh. They asked us to come here and to take more care of you, because Baba Jamal Singh said that you need further care, and the homeopathic medicine is not gonna work. So that's why we came here." That see that the Master is beyond. He knows everything, and everything is under His control. So this is just my introduction to you. That be happy. Master will be well soon, and all is under His control. And our gift for him is to do more bhajan, more simran, and more meditation, and that will make him well much sooner. And now I will welcome my brother Chand, Dr. Chand, and I'm sure Dr. Chand has many stories, because he lives with his mom that is a perfect living master, and probably she goes through some times where she pays the karmas of her disciples, and he can tell us stories. He can tell us stories and share more insight about when Master becomes sick. Puneet, where is Dr. Chand? Hey, 1 second. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know where Dr. Chand is. Uh, Puneet, do you know where Dr. Chand is?
Maybe he left. He was there in the call.
Yeah, he was there. Maybe his internet went down. Can somebody send him a message? Let me send him a message. 1 second. Sorry. Let's see. If he does not appear in a minute, I can start to play Master's video, and then when he appears again, I can stop the video and let him speak. Okay, maybe I will read for you a poem until Dr. Chand comes. Here's a poem from Saint Kabir about gurus and masters. Okay. So many false gurus abound. Few disciples are to be found. There is a ray of hope, says Kabir, when a disciple does finally appear. Social status does not make any difference. The wisdom alone should be your point of inference. Why be misled by the beauty of the sheath when the sharpness of the sword lies beneath? The Guru and God are inseparably one. Everything else is just an illusion. Have freedom from ego's hold. Be embraced within the Guru's fold. If it's the Lord you want to know, love and reverence you must show. Blind and ignorant are those who do not think that God and Guru have an eternal link. Deprived of the wisdom, they'll soon regret, caught in illusion's bindings net. The Lord appears in the form of a master. The goal of life is accomplished faster. Bow down with reverence to his lotus feet. Serve him with action and mind complete. By remembering God with every breath of life, enjoy his grace, attain freedom from strife. Wow. If the master's task is to wash the fabric, and the disciple is enveloped in dirt so thick, then the word becomes the cleansing lotion, washing the mind with repetitive motion. When the word has purified the soul and mind, such a rare student is hard to find. When the master turns the potter's wheel, he needs the disciple, the clay by feel, shaping the pot with intricate beauty, giving it a new shape is his duty. Wow. Giving it a new shape is his duty. With his gentle hands he hollows from within, holding the outside firmly as the wheels does spin. Were I Were I to see together the Lord and Guru somehow, to whom would it first be proper to bow? No doubt my master's feet, for he revealed the Almighty Lord to me. What has the disciple left to fear? In all three worlds, asked Kabir, when he sees his master higher than all, and always obeys his orders and call. It's a great accomplishment you'll find when you offer action, speech, and mind. Set down the burden that you carry, the heavy weight you always ferry. Oh, one second. Oh, Dr. Chand has rejoined. Cool. Where is he? Hey, Dr. Chand, I'm asking you to unmute. Yeah, okay, cool. He's on mute now. Oh, wonderful. Oh, cool. Dr. Chand, please speak. He's unmuted. I don't know why we don't hear him. Okay, I'll continue. I'll continue reading the poem until I hear his voice. All right. Set down the burden that you carry, the heavy weight you always ferry, the road to misery and pain you'll tread, if by ignorance you're blindly led. The light of providence to you will be shown, if you always remember the Lord alone. When mind and action to the Lord you render, nothing more is left for you to surrender. Wow. When mind and action to the Lord you render, nothing more is left for you to surrender. That's beautiful. With all my being, here I declare, I have nothing left to offer or share. Be sure, a seer is your spiritual guide, a sage who is wise and dignified. Be sure desires are brought under control, that his ego does not play a conflicting role. Death of his ego means he is reborn, free from conflict. Your heart will never be torn. There's more to surrender than one can see. Subtler forces still must be. The master alone can remove the veil for the one who has learned how to curtail. Wow. The influence that separate and blind, the unconscious, the body and the mind. That is so powerful. Without the blinding veil, one has no fear. It seldom happens, says Kabir. Kabir reveals yet another little known fact. Once the unconscious is surrendered and no longer can act, all external temptations disappear. From sight, everything vanishes except the guiding light. Oh my God, I have to read that again. That is so delicious. Kabir reveals yet another little known fact. Once the unconscious is surrendered and no longer can act, all external temptations disappear from sight. Everything vanishes except the guiding light. That's when Said Kirpal said, how can the conscious be unconscious when they tried to give him the anesthesia? Wow. How can the master's greatness be described, even if the earth could be inscribed? All the three beings, the writings, pens, and the oceans, the ink to flow through them. How can you describe his beauty sublime? It is impossible for anyone to describe with rhythm. Certainly, all those fools remain ignorant and blind, who do not see the Master as divine and kind. One must not only remember the Lord, but love the Master too. Then alone one experiences what is true. For in an instant you will be lifted from Maya's stronghold, and then pulled past the three worlds fold. The Master is the most selfless giver to be found. The disciple is the poorest beggar around. Wow, that is so beautiful. The Master is the most selfless giver to be found. That is why he's taking on some illness for us. The disciple is the poorest beggar around. The Master, to his sincere pupil very purely, bestows all the blessings very dearly. Only the Master can this gift bestow, and through it the disciple will surely grow. A truly holy person is one who is sensitive to the suffering of others too. Then there are the self-controlled. Then there are the self-centered who insist that others' need don't even exist. If man has no feet, how can he leap? How can one rest if he doesn't sleep? Without a mouth, how can I laugh? Or make butter without a churning staff? A cow without an udder can no milk yield. How can one journey if the road is concealed? So too the spiritual path needs a guide. Hear the teacher's message deep inside. Hear the teacher's message deep inside. That the real message is from within us and we have to reach it at some point. Dr. Chand, we're all waiting for you. Can somebody contact him because I don't know. I think he has a problem with his internet because now I don't even see his audio. So let me choose a video from Master. I forgot to choose. And then we will play a video from Master. And hopefully Dr. Chand will appear again and he will contact one of us. If Anoop, if you can send Dr. Chand a message. And I sent him a message, but I don't see that he saw it. So now I'll choose a video from Ishwarji. Let's see, whichever the first one that comes. Okay, this one. Okay, cool. Let me play Master until Dr. Chand appears.
Jo mange Satguru Apanete, Sovi Devi. Jo mange Satguru Apanete, Sovi Devi. Jo mange Satguru Apanete, so Devi.
Thank you. Welcome, friends, to the second day of our workshop and seminar on the spiritual path. This song you just heard is from a holy scripture of the Sikh community in India. It's my favorite song because it says, whatever you ask from your master, whatever you ask from the Lord, he will give you. It reminds me of a book called The Secret. That whatever you think positively, you get it. There are so many different songs in Indian literature which say the same thing. That whatever you want, you can get it. There's only one snag. The song does not say what your mind wants. It says what you want. It does not say that just by asking you can get your mind's wishes fulfilled. It says your wishes can be fulfilled. If you hear the rest of the songs connected with this, you will notice that they all emphasize the difference between you and your mind. And they say that the mind leads you somewhere else, you want to go somewhere else. Our souls are our self, not our minds. A mind is not the same thing as our soul. The soul has consciousness, the soul has beauty, joy, the soul has intuition, and the soul has spontaneity and functions without time and space. When you have a gut feeling, it comes to you without having to think about it. When you think about it, very often that feeling goes away. Whereas the mind will always function through thoughts, which take time, which occur in space, and follow the law of cause and effect. The soul does not follow any of these laws. Therefore, there is a big difference between the soul and the mind. Yet the life force, the motive force, is always provided by the soul. That alone has consciousness and life. All force that is provided to the mind, to the senses, to the body is given to us by the soul. Therefore, this is addressed to the soul. This song, whatever the soul wants, it can get. The soul always wants union with its reality. The soul is always seeking it. The soul feels separated from its totality. The soul is lonely. And we feel that loneliness in us. We all feel lonely. We may admit it or not. We try to overcome our loneliness by making use of the external experiences of this world. We try to make relationships. We try to acquire things. We try to build up our homes. We try to buy things, go shopping. We try to have children. We try to have families, friends. All these are efforts to satisfy the yearning of the soul to overcome its loneliness. But none of these things actually satisfy the soul. They are all superficial. And we find out sooner or later that all these relationships with everything and everybody in the world is only skin deep. It does not reach the soul. And the soul continues to feel lonely. It's only when the soul can meet its own totality, its own creator, its own Lord, within itself, it feels satisfied and the loneliness disappears. So therefore, the spiritual path is the real answer to the problem of soul's loneliness. And therefore, it's recommended that do not follow the path of the mind, follow the path of the soul. Follow the path which the soul seeks, which is to overcome loneliness by discovering where it originates from, what's it part of, where it is true home. And therefore, the soul will take you back to the true home only when you leave the company of the mind and move inwards toward the soul. The company of the mind takes you outward, whereas the yearning of the soul is inward. The two directions are different. We are constantly going outside because we identify ourselves with the mind. We think we are the mind, and therefore we are seeking everything outside of ourselves. Whereas if we were to listen to the yearning of the soul, we would look for everything inside ourselves, inside our consciousness. So we are being misled in a way into a direction that does not remove our loneliness. There's a story in India. I told you some stories yesterday. We have stories of kings and queens. And there's a story about a king who had a beautiful daughter, and the king was hoping that the daughter will marry a prince and live a happy, royal, regal life. But she fell in love. She fell in love with an ordinary guy, commoner in the street. And the king was a little disappointed that I thought my daughter will live a royal life, marry a prince, but she's fallen in love with a commoner. And he said, okay, at least the love is true, therefore she will be happy. But that guy on the street did not really love her. He had relationships with several prostitutes, 5 of them. He would visit those 5 prostitutes. The life of that daughter was like hell. So this is a story of our soul. The king is our father, our creator. The soul is the daughter. The mind is the guy the soul has got married to. And instead of loving the soul, it goes after the 5 senses, which are the prostitutes. It is our situation that instead of the soul rejoicing in its own home, rejoicing in totality, which is a place of great bliss and great joy, instead of enjoying that, it is going around with the mind, and the mind is not even loving the soul. The mind is going astray, looking for sense pleasures outside in this world. And the soul, poor soul, is in distress because of this situation and remains lonely. So the spiritual path teaches us to realize the situation and not depend upon the sense perceptions, not depend upon external attachments for removing the loneliness of the soul, but go within and discover your true home, where you belong, where there is royalty, and you will find that there is a royal road leading to that. The royal road that leads to the home of the soul is always connected to us. It is not an alien road sitting somewhere else. It's a road that is available to us. Only we have to open the 10th door behind our eyes. We did a little meditational practice yesterday to see where the 10th door is. The 10th door lies above the 9 doors and behind the eyes. If you enter the 10th door, another sky opens up, a road opens up, and if you have the good fortune of being initiated by a perfect living master, you will find the perfect living master right there, waiting for you. And he will then take you with him. It is not a journey that goes alone. Your loneliness starts ending right at the 10th door. When you enter the 10th door and you are initiated by a perfect living master, your loneliness starts ending right there, because thereafter, all your spiritual journey to the highest levels of any heavens, any highest levels of consciousness, including the totality, including our true home, is all in the company of that master. The greatest gift we can have in this world, according to me, is initiation by a perfect living master. If you get that initiation, you are bound to have a master within you and only waiting for you at the 10th door. He does let you work your way up to the 10th door so that you have a task to do, you have part of the path to tread. But from there, he will take you to all the places he wants to show you. There have been many disciples of great master who tarried for long periods on the way. They loved the new situations inside so much. There are so many beautiful experiences that take place immediately after the 10th door at the astral plane. And some of them have been there for a long time, rejoicing and enjoying that before they move on to the next step. But the master never leaves them. Even if the physical form of the master is gone, the inner form of the master after initiation never goes away. Indeed, it becomes more manifest. And a perfect living master comes into our life, he comes in the form of a human being. He does not come in the form of some unseen angel or an unseen being. He comes exactly like us. He does not come to us as a super being. He does not come as a superman. He comes like an ordinary person. Because true friendship in this world is only possible between people who are at the same level. If somebody is so high up, you can't be true friends. You can be only admirers. You can be worshippers, but you cannot be friends. Perfect living masters have always come as ordinary people like ourselves. And that is why they make friends with us. And this friendship is a permanent friendship. Initiation by a perfect living master gives you the opportunity to experience permanent friendship. It's not friendship for a while. It's not friendship for this lifetime. It's friendship forever, into eternity. That will never go away. Even if you want to get rid of the friend doesn't get rid of you. This friendship is unique because the love that this friend can give you is totally unconditional. There is no judgment involved in this. He will never judge how good you are, how bad you are, whether you have done good things, you have done bad things. He will always give you his compassion and his love. It's a different kind of relationship. We are constantly judging people. And the master, perfect living master, never judges anybody. He knows we are already in great trouble because of our mind, because of our judgment. He comes to release us from that, not to tie us further into it. I remember great master was once sitting looking at his mail with his secretaries around him, and a man came running to him. And he said, "Master, I have made a big mistake. I have sinned. You told me not to take alcohol. I drank last night with a party. You told me not to eat meat, and I ate all the steaks that were there. You told me not to do this, not to womanize, I did that too. I did everything wrong last night in a strange party that I went to. Please forgive me." The master said, "Okay, you are forgiven. Don't do it again. Go away." He said, thank you, and ran away. The secretaries were surprised. They said, "Master, This guy did not follow any of your directions. And he just comes to say, I'm sorry, and you forgive him? Supposing this guy does the same things again and comes to you again, will you still forgive him? He said, I think even if he does this thing again and comes to me, I will still forgive him. Master, when will you punish him? He said, there are too many people punishing people. The mind itself is punishing us. Don't put me in the category of punishers. Let me be a forgiver forever. That's the nature of a perfect living master. There is nothing that can stop a
Can you
perfect
hear me?
living master from giving his compassion, love, and forgiveness to us, no matter what our
Hello?
condition.
Dr. Chan. Oh,
Can
we
you
don't-
hear me?
now we hear you. Yes.
Okay, now I'm on my phone. My computer is not helping me. I think there is some problem. So let me continue from my phone, you know.
Okay. We were wondering if you can tell us, because you live with a perfect living master, your mom, and sometimes she probably doesn't feel well, and can you tell us more about that? And
Yeah. Because actually today's subject we have kept as detachment, you know. That's how we can work on that. So I would like to talk from my phone and see what best I can do here. So this is what is bothering me a little bit. So I'm closing the computer and we'll talk on it. Okay. Now, can you hear me?
you are loud and clear.
That's very good. Thank you very much for saying so. Now let me talk on the whole concept. You know, as you were saying that Kripal Singh Ji was in hospital, and that day when he came out in the balcony, I was there. My mother was there. So we remember that he had taken a decision for this Dr. Mahajan, S.C. Mahajan, to operate upon him. And it was a successful operation. You know, he was fine that day. So it was his prostate problem. We know it so clearly. Anyhow, the point is now today's talk is about detachment, you know, how masters help us to get detached. So we must understand that what attachments are. Now, the attachments are basically starting once Ishwar Puri ji explains us so well that when we were at the level of the causal mind and causal body, we created that. And that moment, we decided to come, you know. And as soon as we acquired the mind, something different happened, you know. Then, as Ishwarji says, that we became individuals after acquiring the mind. And then the game of the mind and time and material, means Kal and Maya, starts operating at that moment. So at the causal level, we could see all those things and we decided to come in. And as we proceeded to the astral mind and astral body, then we started looking into that and selected something out of that. And then, we created the physical body and the physical mind. Now, once we came up to the physical body, and from the Stone Age man, and we became a human being, and we saw our body, and we thought that might is right. We are the body only. So this is how we started developing attachments with our body, because body needs were hunger, clothes, housing, vanities of the world, sex, and sleep. So these attachments started working with us and we got attached to them. Gradually, then the mind started playing with it with information, the kind of informations we collected. So in that case, all those experiences and events in our lives, they further gave us more inputs. And these inputs again, started, developing attachments. Because mind, as Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj used to say, that the mind gets involved into this and it starts taking um, pleasures in the body, and the mind keeps on reminding the old parts. So this is how the attachments start. Now, to my amazement, how my mother worked on it, and then she started telling us about the attachments. Now, the attachments, which we definitely do with our body and all those requirements of the body, because then we keep on searching for pleasures in the body, and then these attachments start developing. Now, the physical attachments with the children, with the parents, with your friends, and all others. So these attachments keep on, dragging us down. Now, the soul does not know. And how the saints come and tell us that we are a soul. We are not this body, we are not this mind. So this particular lessons from the masters, they gradually tell us, and by the grace of the masters, we start now leaving the attachments. As yesterday I gave an example of my mother, that she wanted to detach from us instead of those attachments. So she went and left us somewhere, in that hostel, so that they will take care of us and she'll do meditation. But then the saints tell that this is not the way. You got to remain in the family. And by doing all that and living in the midst of your family, and you got to develop that detachment from your people with whom you are attached. So now this detachment starts coming, because she once told me that she is in meditation, and every time she can see a child clinging to her, and then she had to forcibly throw him, because she is flying in the sky, and she throws that child out from there, because this is how the detachments took place in her meditation. And once she comes back, and immediately this thing happens, that she doesn't have any attachments with us. She says, you are all children of God. I am like a maid serving you all. So this is how the feeling, basically in spirituality, first of all, you got to do that thinking which comes out of satsangs. And then after thinking, you got to develop that feeling. And after that feeling, you got to do that part. So it is like thinking, feeling, and doing. So this is how you develop those things, and you know that you are here on your karmas. You got to pay off your karmas. That's why you are here. The sanchit karmas, out of that you got this prarabdha karma. So you are here paying off your karmas. During this period, if you attach with someone, attachments, so these attachments will drown you here, because they will involve you. All your attention will go to the people to whom you are attached. Now the love of the master can detach you. Now this is how they do. Now we are all in a very different situations, because we have not seen Ishwar Puriji for a long time, and now we have known that he is a little sick. Now this particular, because love is caring, and this is basically using these tools of attachment with the master, instead of using these tools of attachment with the people around you, and that's how you get involved. Once you use this particular feel that you are loving him and he is not visible to you, this love and affection, which was to really take you towards the Lord, because love is caring. And now we are all caring for him. We are meditating for him, so that he gets better immediately. Because now I wrote a small line even in the WhatsApp group also, that wherever the attention goes, the divine energy flows. So now if we meditate with our attention towards the master, all those benefits of that meditation will go there. So all that divine energy, if it flows to him, even today, as you said, that he had a fever and nothing to worry about, and we know Now, our attention which goes to the master is going to do cure, because wherever the attention goes, the divine energy flows. So this divinity of all of us, all the satsangis, is going to help. Now, this is how we rather de-link our attachments with our family members and with our property. Because now you look, the money, the properties, this is what is mine. This is an attachment, isn't that? Whereas when you die, everything remains here and you simply fly off. So nothing belongs to you, not even this body. This body will also be here and you are out of this. So this is how, if we can know this part, that this creation is of that kind, that time and material which is binding you here, because Ishwar Puriji is explaining that mind is the agent of Kal. That's how Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj also used to explain this part to us. Now see, the mind is agent of Kal, and he wants to make you spin within time, past and future. Kal means time, and then get involved in the material. So all these attachments which are developing here, now we got to look into that by the grace of the masters only, we can leave our attachments, That's how I was just telling you that my mother is flying in meditation, and there is a child which is trying to cling on her sari or on her feet, and he's crying there. And now she takes a better stand in her meditation when she's flying into the sky. And at that moment, she throws that child out. This is not I won't say that this is something bad she's doing, but she's cutting out her attachments. And this how the Almighty blesses during meditation, because you are not physically doing it, of course, but then you did that part that you have thrown, because it is his karma, and he's trying to drag you down. So this is how some of the instances, because there are very many deeper areas of this knowledge, which easily we can't understand. So I understood from her talks that this is how there are attachments. Say, for example, my factory building and all my factory works, there were some government problems, the laws were different. Many inspectors will come and ask me bribe for all those things, which I was not doing anything bad. So finally, she told me that don't feel attached to your factory. It is not yours. Because I used to say, I did it. Yesterday also I was talking that I did this, I did that. So she says, God doesn't like I. So now, without that I, that this belongs to me, this is what has to be there. Now we should not be attached to anything here. It's a dream. And if we get attached here, then we are in a trap of time and material. So this detachment with everything, because if you count lust, anger, ego, attachment, deceit, fears, and worry, so attachment is the word. Now this attachment is the biggest hurdle, because every time we think of our nears and dears, they have all come with their own karma aspect. So they are paying, because as Kripal Singh Ji used to tell us, that it is a matter of give and take. We have taken birth in this family just to take or to give something. So this is what the karma theory talks about it. So this is how the whole game of attachments, they are like this. So we got to look into this part and see that how best we can really develop this particular area, that we should work to detach ourselves from everything. Because if we are not detaching ourselves, then the mind together, as I say, that they create body and mind together, create emotions. And emotions will trap you, and they'll work as a terrorist in you. So emotions do work as a terrorist. So you got to understand that this is what is possible only with the love of the master. And that particular area, that if you dedicate all your love, and finally the master is telling that it is you are loving yourself, because finally once you ascend in meditation, you will know. Now this very precise knowledge, that once you ascend and you meet the master in his radiant form, and later on what Ishwar Puriji tells, that ultimately you could know that master and you are one. And then gradually you go up, then you can see the God is also you. And how we explain this part, basically, soul is connected to the super soul through the Shabad. Basically, we are representing the absolute here. Now, this mind and body trap has really trapped us here. That's why we can't be happy here. So now if we understand that we are representing the absolute, and if we lead this life with the attributes of the divine, which are love, compassion, mercy, wisdom, humility, state-of-art planning ability, and its execution ability, let us face as it comes, justice and seva. If these divine attributes are there, we can never be sad at all, because we know we are representing the absolute, and his divine attributes we got to use here, instead of using the attributes of the mind, which wants to trap us here. And if we do that, we can be a happy person all the time. And then we will not have any detachments. Because I remember when my father died, my mother said, nobody's going to cry. And she said that if you cry with those attachments with your father, his soul is stuck up. Because wherever the attention goes, the divine energy flows, and you are using this attention through your body for your benefits, which the body was getting, and through the mind, which is again trapping you. So why you are bothering your father's soul? Don't cry at all, because everybody has to die. So if he is dying, let him go peacefully wherever his soul is going now. Why you are crying and disturbing him? And this is what we understood what attachment is, because he said nobody's going to cry. This is what is a key to understand, that we start crying for the dear ones, and that is what is an attachment. Now, if you say that you are attached to their souls, and that soul is love, it is not that body. Soul is all the time there, the soul never dies. You just rise above this body and meet him. Meet the other soul there in your meditation. You can meet, you can love, you can have that embracing things, in your meditation. So this is what this particular power of yours, that if you de-link your attention from body and mind, rise above, you then de-link from your astral body and astral mind also, because there is another body and another mind. And the rules are different. As you are weightless, and you can fly there as well. That's how Ishwar Puriji minutely explains about the astral experiences. Then the soul has to go further. And once you go to the causal area, then you are the decision maker. It is your free will is with you. Whatever you want is going to happen. If you want to meet any one of your departed souls, whom you love, you can see them there. You can meet them there. You can have a dialogue with them there. You can have a dialogue with the master. So now, sometimes there are meetings, as my mother tells me, in Sachkhand, there are meetings, And in her case, something wonderful happened. She tells me that all the saints together said that there are hardly few woman masters, perfect living masters. Women are not there. So let you be the one, so that everybody should know a woman can also be a perfect living master. And that's how all the saints decided, no, this has to be there. So this is how things develop. And, these are all higher experiences of saints, how they really do that. And we have yet to reach all those stages and go ahead. Now, this is what is something wonderful, which we must understand. And I'm very sure that gradually all of us would like to detach ourselves from everything, including our own body. Now, something wonderful happens here. I'll give you an example. That this energy, which helped you to cross through those causal, astral, and physical areas, created the first single cell, and you crossed 0.84 million species of life to become a human body. So this phantom energy, which you are, now this is what you got to understand, that you are that particular thing. You are representing the absolute here. So you got to live in this life with the divine attributes. Why can't you live with those divine attributes? Why you are getting into the trap of mind and body again and again? Because both of them together will create emotions, and emotions will draw your attention and will involve you. So if you understand that these two fellows, they work in tandem to create emotions, and emotions will create terrorists out of them. And they are terrorizing your soul, and which is fearless. Soul is always fearless, my dear. And any time when the fear comes, it is the attribute of the mind. You can immediately judge. While sometimes I say even the language comes from there. As Ishwar Puriji also one day I was driving him in the car to his sister's place in Delhi. And after a long time, he said, Chand, the satsang comes in real time from there. I don't speak. I don't speak. He speaks out of me. I don't speak. So this is what we all should understand. Saints have given us these clues. That if you go as per the divine attributes, nothing can attach you here. Because that loved one who is there, when he became from one to many, and the point is, those words I remember of my mother, that say, Prem Sindh se mauj ut jagat kiya ujjas. From the sea of love, he rose and he became from one to many. He was one and alone. He wanted to love. And that loving thing is something supreme, my dear. And to love, we are here. To love everybody all around, And love is caring, 100% caring. It is not lust. The mind creates lust out of that love, and the body creates sex out of that love. So love is misunderstood by body and mind, because they decide their own things, They seek temporary pleasures. So love is caring. And then God wanted to love you. That's why he became from one to many. You were loving him and he was loving you. And that essence we brought here. But then the mind trapped that love into lust, and the body trapped that love into sex. So if we can really understand this part, very tricky, Mind and body will always keep on giving you certain things, to understand. And that is what has to be understood, that the game of mind and body, they work in tandem. They are here to trap you, because Kal cannot progress without you. You are the person the Kal and Maya needs you to work here for them, time and material. So if we can understand this, something wonderful is going to happen. This will make you detached with things. Property is not yours, because once we came from Lahore, we lost everything. And my mother is still smiling. Says, okay, we have lost it. Nothing matters. The word of the third, the naam which we get, the third word is Ra Rankar. Now, Rajagun, Tamagun, and Satogun, we got to rise above. Now, the next line to confirm this comes from Gurbani, Tera Bhana Mitha Lage. Means the way you want, we will live it that way. So he has not organized things we have been deprived of certain things, it is good for us. Because tera bhana meetha lage means we should live in his raza, in his, the way he wants to keep us. Us vidh rahiye jis vidhi rakhe Ram. We should live, in Ramayana also it is like that you should live the way the Lord Rama wants to make you live. Suppose if he has, taken away certain things, and if we feel attached to them, we are crying. We are getting sad. Who is getting sad, my dear? You are representing the absolute. So the God himself is getting sad and you are making him sad. So now if we are all happy, Ishwar Puriji will be happy, he will be cured. And with love and devotion, we must meditate for him, and we can deliver this meditation to him. Because he said that we can, take karmas out of love. We can heal people out of love. So what really happens? If we love, both of them are healed. The person who has to be healed, and you also are getting healed. Love is double-edged thing, It is healing both of you. So now this is how the love can heal. And I think, I'm very sure that all of them are in deep love with the Master, and he will be cured very, very soon. Very early you will find this happening. He will be back again on those dates, as Michael was saying, that he'll come and deliver that talk to us. So my dear, if we are in love, then we are not attached to anything. We are in love with our own self, and we are the Masters. So spread love everywhere. Thank you very much. So I wanted to say this only today. Please take over, Michael.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chand, for your soothing talk. So delicious, so wonderful, so godly. We love you,
Thank
and
you,
we look
thank you.
forward every week for you. You are
Yeah.
just wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So now I don't know if I should play Master another 10 minutes and then we meditate and send him the gift of meditation, or should we start to meditate? What do you think, Dr. Chand?
Maybe few words from the Master will be wonderful, if you can put
That's
a
what I
few
was
minutes.
thinking.
His video will be. I'm really sorry because my computer is not helping me today, and I do not know how to repair this. Because
Okay,
there is
cool.
some mistake which I would have done.
No
So
problem.
I'm doing it on my phone.
Cool. So now I'll play Master for like 10 minutes and then we will meditate all together.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks, please. Thanks.
Came in Europe. Hardly any came in the Western New World, United States, for example. That most of the people in America believed in spirits as the masters, believed in the natural spirits of nature. But the perfect living masters in human form have been very rare in this part. But every part of this earth, planet, gets its turn. And he said, that was more than 50 years ago, when he said that the axis of spirituality itself is going to turn. And there will be more and more masters in the West. Not only that, he said that there will be masters specifically, more and more masters, perfect living masters in the United States of America. He named the country. Indeed, I must confess that I ran and came to this country in order to have a ringside seat when the show begins here. And I noticed show is beginning here. So that is why every part of the universe has had masters and will have masters. And they come wherever there are seekers. Wherever there's a seeker, a true seeker, he will find somebody to guide him temporarily. It does not mean that when you are seeking, you instantly find a perfect living master. It means you are put on track to reach the perfect living master. You may meet many masters. Indeed, it is believed that every person we meet is sort of a teacher for us. Start with the mother at birth. The mother teaches first. The mother is the first master. And then we go on to school. We have another master. We go to church. We go to temple. We have another master. And then we go to religious places. We find more masters. And then ultimately we go to spiritual disciplines of various kinds, and we make masters of various levels, and they go on to different places. And each master takes you as far as he can go. And then he says, that's it. He has taken you as far as you can go. And then you go and ultimately meet a perfect living master who takes you to your final home. So do not think that the masters who come intermediately in your life are not masters. They are masters doing their work at that time. If a child wants to go to elementary school and says, I want a PhD teacher, he is not ready for that. He has to go through school. Then he has to go there. When he reaches university, he'll meet all the doctors and PhD professors there. So at each stage in the spiritual path also, we come across different teachers. We come across different masters. And they take us as far as they can go. Because there are so many masters. Even today people ask me this question. Because I have met many of the masters who are well known. I knew them from childhood, I knew them now. And they ask me, who is a perfect living master? Can you tell us what about that master? And I always tell them that, look, my knowledge tells me that I respect all masters because they are teaching us to go on the right path. Every master who tells you to go within is a good master. May not be a perfect living master, but a good master, serving your purpose at that time. If a master is teaching you to go into pilgrimages outside, I do not support that, because the truth lies inside and not outside. But any master who is teaching any of his disciples to go within, I respect that master. And I will continue to respect such masters. How far a master can take you depends exactly where that master himself has gone. He cannot take you further than where he has gone. But it doesn't matter. Even if you follow such a master and he's taken you to the point where he can take you, and your seeking is still there, you will definitely meet a master who takes you further. And you will definitely meet a master who takes you to Sachkhand, to your true home eventually. There was I told a story earlier to some people privately, now I'll tell you publicly, about a friend of mine whose name was Trilok Chand. He was an engineer, road engineer working in Burma, now Myanmar, Burma, and he was a very big seeker of a true master. And he was following every teacher he could find. Then he heard that there was a master in South India, in the town of Madras, who could take you and give you the highest knowledge inside yourself. He was waiting for that. So he decided to sell everything in Burma and come and meet that master. He was a very stingy person. You know what is stingy? That when we had rupees in India, like a dollar. Supposing you take out a dollar, he would look at it and say, shall I spend it or not spend it? Shall I spend it or not spend it? Not spend it. That way he accumulated in a job 30,000 bucks in his account. So he had 30,000 rupees in his account when he went to see the master in Madras. And the master told him that I'm glad you have come to me and I will give you the enlightenment you are seeking, but you have to pay the price for it. He said, what is the price? He said, same price that King Janak had to pay to Ashtabakar. I don't know how many of you have heard that story, that King Janak had to pay the price. It was a strange price tag because the master said, you have to give three things to get enlightenment. You have to give your body, you have to give your wealth, and you have to give your mind. If you can give these three, you can get enlightenment. So the Madras master told Trilok Chand that give me these three things and you will get enlightenment. And since he had heard the story of King Janak, he readily agreed. So the master said, first transfer the 30,000 bucks into my account. So this man who would not even spend $1, imagine his seeking, imagine his earnestness. He transferred the 30,000 rupees to the master, who started building a temple straight away with that money. Then he said, now you've given your wealth, now give me your body. And he said, in what way? He said, you have to meditate through breath work, through pranayam, through a system by which you have to inhale and exhale breathing in a certain way. The most important part of it is that you have to take one breath from the left nostril and one breath from the right. And it should be alternate along with the other mantras that I will teach you. The breathing is very important. And you cannot use your fingers or your hands. Therefore, in order to alternate the breathing from one nostril to the other, you have to control it from inside, because the truth lies inside and not outside. Therefore, you have to twist your tongue backwards and control it from inside. And then the master opened his mouth and showed how his tongue was so loose it could come out like a snake's tongue. And he could turn it backwards, and he performed that exercise. He says, this can only be done if I tear off your tongue from the tendons that's holding it. I have to tear it off. And that can be done either by surgical procedure, but since it's a sacrifice you're making, I will sandpaper it. And I will do it slowly every day. And not only that, to make it a painful experience, so you know you paid for this enlightenment and realization, I'll use some nettle rash, some plant, which will make it more painful. Now, I would have run away at that stage. But this guy got it done. Spent 1 month with this torture. 1 month he tortured him with this. Ultimately, the tongue was loose. And then he taught him how to use the tongue to block from inside the breathing on the two nostrils, once in the right, once left. And he kept on doing that. Then he said, now you give your mind and do these repetitions of words, which he did. Ultimately, he was able to see some lights and some colors inside, but he didn't get what he wanted. He said, Master, I'm very happy what you gave me, but it's not what I looked for. I wanted to get ultimate truth. I wanted to know what the reality is. He said, this is all I can give. You'll have to wait for another master to give you the rest. This man eventually came learning from some friends about the great master. Came to Punjab, to the Beas River, and met the great master there. And great master initiated him. And then he was so happy, he was dancing all the time. The great guy. I was sitting with him one day with the master in a small group. And he said, Master, had I known that you are the real master, I would not have given those 30,000 bucks to the master in Madras. And the great master laughed and said, Trilokchand, you don't know. The day you came to me, I transferred those funds to my account. That you lost nothing. The great master explained that whatever work you have done with one master has not gone waste. When you came to me, that was taken into account. And you made progress from that point onwards. And therefore, do not think you wasted your time or your money. Even with a master who could not take you any further, you had to go through that stage to reach up to that point before you could come up to me. And therefore, it is never wrong to say, I found a master who was not a perfect master, I made a mistake. It's no mistake, because that master could take you up to that point where he could, and then you have to move on to another master. So that is why it is the masters, great master said, and perfect living masters have said, never worry about who your teacher is, so long as you are making progress in the right direction. The direction is important. The direction is not outside, but inside. If a master is telling you something which takes you inside, he is telling you the right thing, even if he can take you a little way. There are many yogis and swamis in India who are teaching people the yoga of the 6 centers below the eyes. And many of these yogis came to the great master, and he set up a separate camp for them. He called them the sadhu camp, because they were called sadhus, because they had practiced these things, these sadhana. They had practiced this sadhana in a different way than great master's way. Great master's way was not to go down below the eyes, but to rise behind and above the eyes. Because great master said that this body of ours has been divided into 2 sections. The dividing line is the eye level. Above the eyes is one area, and below the eyes, second area. Below the eyes, all the functions of the organs are meant to create energies for survival. They make you live, they make you do things in this world, they provide all the energies at different chakras, different centers to survive here, to get experiences here. But the spiritual experiences are confined to the area above the eyes. Therefore, it's a cutoff point. What you get below the eyes in meditation is energy. What you get above the eyes is awareness. Below the eyes, you can get extraordinary energies and extraordinary experiences. Above the eyes, you get realization and awareness. They're two different things. So, many people who had done good practice in the lower chakras came there. Some of them had a problem to switch their attention from these chakras. Somebody who had practiced a long time concentrating on the heart chakra, believing it to be the center of the soul, was now told that's not the center of the soul, it is center of energies. And that the heart itself as an organ, when it stops beating, you die. Therefore, your energy is stored at that center. And by having experience at the heart center, you're not realizing yourself. You're realizing the center of energy. Whereas, if you go above, then you are able to realize who you are. Not only that, even the yogis who were practicing the yoga of the 6 centers, they would travel down to the lowest center, the 6th center, and travel upwards, stage by stage, ultimately coming to the eye center, the 2-petaled lotus. And they would say that we have arrived at ourselves. So Great Master would say, if you have to go down to the basement and then climb upstairs to come up to the 6th floor, why not start from the 6th floor and go to the 8th or 9th floor? So Great Master was always indicating that sometimes you can get caught up in these centers. But if you have practiced going to the centers and you understand the difference between energy and awareness, you will make good progress. And many of those sadhus made good progress by realizing that we had with great difficulty reached the 6th center behind the eyes. That reminds me of an interesting event that happened in Karachi, a city in Pakistan today, where my uncle was working as a meteorological officer, weatherman. He was a weatherman there, and he had a house on the beach, on Clifton Beach, very beautiful home. And he was a disciple of Great Master, as was the rest of the family. He invited Great Master to visit his home and spend some days. It was quite a long journey from the Dera to Karachi, but Great Master agreed. And we all got very excited, and I was a teenager that time. I got excited to make a trip to the beach, to my uncle's house with Great Master. But my uncle and aunt there, who were living in Karachi, used to go to another Swami, Swami Brahmanandji, who wore saffron-colored robes, and he wore a little muffler around his neck.
All right, my holy family, now it is the time to send the gift of meditation to our Holy Father, Ishwar Puri Ji, that will please him, to send our love to the source of love. So if we can forget about the world outside and the body below and come up here to where Master is waiting, have some nice words for our Holy Father, and hope he will get better soon so we can hear him. And repeat the mantra of the holy name slowly at intervals with the tongue of thought, and or listen to the holy shabd and send all that divine love, divine energy towards our Holy Father. And I hope to see you tomorrow. I will keep Zoom on for double the time. I will keep it for 40 minutes as more gift for our Holy Father. And I hope to see you tomorrow for another holy day in Holy Father God. We will also do double meditation tomorrow. Okay. Enjoy.